So I think it's very important to understand the power of story because our brains are wired for story. So I hope that this sets everything up so you understand the importance of story. So now that we know the power of story, our brains are wired for story. And also, by the way, people who are coming in, I guess I should definitely announce is Rafat Solomon. What's going on, Solomon? It is great to see you, my friend. Well, I can't see you. It's great to have you here. That's kind of like the intro about story, the importance of story. I want to say thank you guys for being here. You guys who are watching this on the replay, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys get a lot out of this. So when it comes to story, and you start with your story, as you guys know, I talk about that all the time. But the power, your power, your influence, who you are, that all lies in your story. Like every single one of you guys watching this has a story, and you feel like, well, it's boring. It doesn't really do anything. All I did was at 14 years old, I had to do this, but that's part of your story, and that matters. It matters for the person that if it didn't happen, good or bad, you wouldn't be where you are today. So a lot of times we don't realize that. We don't realize our power lies in our story. And our story is what connects us to each other. As much as people see me traveling, like I'm always trying to tell parts of my past, little bits of it. You put little bits of it in everything that you do so that people hear little bits of your story and they get to know you a little bit. Like they secretly get to know you. Like as much as I love vlogging, if you guys watch the vlog, people know, oh, Luke, he likes coconuts. He really loves to do this. And I'm actually someone that you can relate to. You understand, you feel like you know me. And it's just because you just see parts of my life, you hear stories, you actually are seeing the story play out live in a vlog, and the power lies in your story. And it's almost we live in this society where we feel like we have to tell our story perfect. Like when we talk to people and we tell our story, we tend to tell our story like we post on social media and how the majority of people post on social media. Meaning, well, I'm going to tell this part, I'm going to leave this part out. And that's not the way that it should go because you're leaving out very vulnerable parts of your story. And it's that vulnerable part that makes you relatable to people. If you don't have that vulnerable part, you don't show the hard parts that you've struggled. If you don't ever mention that in your story, you're leaving out the part that really connects you. It's so powerful, and you can implement it in everything that you do. I think if in the post that I did for this webinar, I was saying to teach you guys how to implement your story in everything that you do. So as I'm having a coffee here, I can implement little parts of my story of who I am, of my life, of my childhood, just through coffee. And you'll be like, well, wait, Luke, what do you mean you can implement it just through coffee? Meaning, I'm having a coffee now. This is the vlog. I can bring in my story of who I am and how I was raised. Like, wow, I'm having a coffee right now. And I remember when I was like 10 years old, my grandma used to always sit around and drink pots of coffee every day, and she would implement, Luke, try coffee. And I hated it as a 9 or 10-year-old. And I was scarred from it because she kept trying to make me do it. And now I drink coffee every day. So what did I do there? I talked about coffee, yes, but I brought a story. I brought you guys a story from the past. So we connected because you know what it's like to share something. Maybe you remember something of your grandmother that comes up in your mind now. And at the same time, you're realizing like, oh, wow, Luke did do that with his grandparents. I remember that, yeah. And now you hear that story, and now there's a connection. There's a feeling that's there. I wasn't going to jump into this part. I actually have notes on the side, and I have this way further down. And this is about when you tell your story, we think that, well, people won't understand our story. And we think that, well, that didn't happen to them, so they won't know. And one of the most important things for us to understand is that we don't need to have the same event in our life. If I told you guys when I was 16 years old, I was playing basketball, this is a true story. I was playing basketball. I was recruited by all these big time universities. They wanted me to come play for them. And one Saturday morning, after I had run in a little mini marathon the day before. My leg was hurting a little bit, but I still kept on practicing with my friends. And I remember I was tired. I was so tired, I remember. And I was just finished working out, and I was like, it's time for me to go. And when I was gonna leave this gym area, I was like, oh, I forgot my shoes in the gym. So I'm like almost like limping down to the gym, and I see one of my really good friends warming up in the layup line. They're playing basketball, and they're like, Luke, we need one more person. Can you come? So I come there, and I'm like, man, I'm tired, but whatever. And I go to warm up, and I jump up, and I try to dunk the ball. And I just, as soon as it jumped in the air, I heard a snap. Like I heard a snap. And in the moment, I remember when I jumped, it felt as if someone hit me with a bat in my shin. And I snapped my tibia, basically. Long story short, tibia snapped in half. Come down on the ground, look at my leg. My leg is like this. Your leg should be like this. Mine was like this, swollen in a second. It was swollen. Now, I'm sure maybe one of you all out there watching this, maybe that's happened to you. Maybe you've had the exact same experience. But if you haven't had that experience, that does not affect how you feel when I tell that story. You're, oh, that must have hurt really bad. Oh my gosh. You weren't there. You weren't there. You didn't see what happened. And maybe you've never even broken a bone. But you relate to the feeling of what it would feel like to have done that. And when I tell that story, especially when I was speaking to kids who are basically, when I was playing basketball, we'd go and talk to kids. And, you know, when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this. Or I'd see a kid who was hurt. The first thing I would do was pull up my pants leg. Most of I was wearing shorts all the time, and show my scar on my leg. And like, hey, man, I did the same thing. Look at this. Like mine was much worse. And all of a sudden, someone who's super sad about something, they now relate and they see who I am, and they can relate to that part of my story, that he was hurt as well. And there's something that makes them realize, like, I'm going to be okay now. Like, that's the beauty and the power of your story. Because those parts that we think I'm not going to tell because it makes me a little bit vulnerable, those are the parts that matter. You guys understand? Those are the parts that connect you to people. The embarrassing parts, that's what makes you human. That's what humanizes you with people. If you guys watch the vlogs that I do, like there's so many times that I keep things in the vlog because it humanizes the vlog. It humanizes what I do. If not, people can get caught up and you don't think that a person is real. You know, I was having this discussion with somebody because so many things we watch and we see. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to I have like my little notes. I'm not using them, but I have them here on the side. And my wallpaper, my screensaver just keeps cutting off in the middle of talking to you guys. Let me just get this. Here we go. Auto lock. Turn it off. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, we're good. Okay, I can't remember what I was saying. I had the same story. My bad. I had the same story in November. Yeah, the same story in November. Really? What happened? Izza, what happened? Well, basically, long story short, I forgot what I was saying. But long story short, you have to understand that those vulnerable parts of your story that you feel shy about, you feel nervous about, those are the parts that really connect you to people. You know, I remember I was having a story with someone. I said, we don't realize that people are real. Like, it's crazy as it sounds. I know you guys know me. Like, this is a live video. I exist in real life. But it's not until maybe you see me, like you can watch the vlog. If you've never been to Bali, Bali doesn't seem real to you. Bali seemed like a dream to me until I actually got here to Bali. So, of course, if you've never been to Bali and you've never seen me in real life, there's like a little part of you that doesn't believe that I'm real. You can follow me, you can do all, but there's a part that you don't realize that I'm real because there's not a connection there in the beginning if you just watch a video. But over time, as I tell you a story, you realize, like, wait, he was hurt. Oh my gosh, well, I had a similar kind of injury and I was kind of hurt as well. And so now you can understand and you connect just a little bit more to my story. And one thing that's even more important is that in the vlog, when I'm editing, what I was saying is the things that I keep in the vlog make people realize that this is a real person. He's real. And the way I do it in the vlog is I go to places that maybe you've been before. Think about if you've ever seen any of my vlogs and you see me maybe in a place that you've been. You see me walk down a street that you know, or you hear me say a problem that you had. Now, all of a sudden, this guy who's behind the screen, he's real. He's a real person. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I had that same problem before, like if I mention it. So I'm always careful, even when I'm telling my story and different things, that I'm implementing things that connect, because our feelings is how we connect. The emotions, how we really connect. Like I can preach to you guys and tell you this and tell you that, but if I don't show my vulnerability of my story, if I don't talk about the things that I struggle with, if I don't talk about these things that I've struggled with, then it would be really hard for you to understand. When I was talking to someone the other day, someone pretty successful, and they're at a very they're at a point right now where you could be intimidated by their success. They have the things that they want, they're excited, everything's great. And we were talking, and like as successful as they are, they came to me and we were talking about something. They're like, Luke, this kind of reminds me of back when I was like 24 years old or something. And I had to get up at 4 o'clock every morning to go and work at a restaurant. And I was just like, what? Like, I had no idea about that. I was like, you went to a restaurant at 4 a.m., you worked at a restaurant like that. Because sometimes we get to a point where someone's just like this, we don't imagine them that they have to go through the struggles that we had. We don't imagine it. We just think like, wow, they made it. Like people watch the vlog, like, wow, Luke, he's traveling the world and everything. But the second I say, oh, so I stayed in this place instead of this place because I was able to save some money. I had the money that I saved staying here meant that I could use that extra money to go out that night, to go with friends. Now there's something connection, because you know what that feels like. You know what that feels like to give up something to save a little bit of money so you can do something else with the money. So understand that your story is what connects us, and the thing that me, Isa, Rafa, Solomon, what we have in common is we all have a story. And we all have vulnerable parts of it. And what happens is we get stuck and we end up choosing which parts that we tell. So one thing that you can really tell about, and something for you guys to look in on yourself, because I have to do it as well, is that the parts of your story that you don't tell, the parts of your story that you don't ever mention, there's a reason why you're not mentioning them. And I don't want to tell people what to do, but you should dive into that. Sometimes it could be just you forgot, or sometimes you can feel ashamed, you can feel worried, or parts of your story that were difficult to make you vulnerable, you're not over. And we all have them. We all have those stories that make us feel like we're weak, that we're vulnerable. And those are the parts of our story that will connect us the most to people. We leave out parts of our story that are vital, that are so important to connect us with people. And I understand not wanting to put it in the public. Like, I'm sorry, when I'm doing the vlog, I'm careful with what I say. Like how I talk to people in the vlog, the general public, to my Instagram, like I have a boundary when it comes to there. But people who go above and beyond, for example, you hear in the mastermind, you'll hear stories that I don't share on that platform, on the big platforms. And what I share there, I don't, the stories that you guys, if you guys are in the mastermind, the stories that I share in my mastermind and the things there, I don't share to the general public because I have boundaries there. But when I share a lot of my struggles, that really makes you feel connected. That shows you the human side. That shows you that I'm not just, oh, he's this person, this untouchable person who never have problems, when that's not the case at all. If I were to tell you when I was 22 years old, my girlfriend for a long time was cheating on me. And that's a hard story. And I'm just like, wow, that's so hard for me to say. But that part is so vulnerable. And that's what would build a super strong connection. So the parts of our story that we hold out and we're not comfortable sharing, of course, if there's been horrible effects of it, and sometimes there are things that we can't really share because we feel so hurt by it. But if you can't share it at all, even in a one-on-one setting with someone who you're really close with, that shows that you have work to do around that story. There's something going on there that you haven't dealt with. Like if you're uncomfortable talking about that, maybe not to a public setting, I understand. You don't have to speak about it in a public setting. But what you do have to understand is that if you can't share it at all to anyone ever, that's something to dive into in your story. There's a reason why you can't really talk about it. For me, one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had lately is talking about money. Like I was always nervous to talk about money. And I felt nervous. I felt that if I'm asking people to pay for stuff, that I'm becoming a bad person, that I'm becoming like all these other people. And I that was a big, like a thing that really held me back, because it was like, I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't want money. I don't want it. I don't want the money. I don't want people to support me. I don't want people to pay for this. And because I was like that, there was some kind of block there that I had. And for me, not being able to do that, which is a part of who I am, part of my story, and not being able to talk about something, that's how you know you need to work on it. Not feeling comfortable to talk about that, that shows you where you needed to work. So I realized that I had to work on how I looked at money. Like, wow, the more money that I actually get, so basically you have to change the story that you tell yourself. As a paradox as it sounds, because stories are powerful. So the story you tell yourself, you start to live it. You start to become it. And that's why your story is so powerful. And the thing is, we maybe don't tell a story, but we have a story that we tell ourselves. Like, I'm just never great at that. I never was able to lose weight. I never was able to really put myself out there. And because you keep telling yourself that story, it becomes more true. It's becoming more true. So what you have to understand is that by 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 changing the story you can tell yourself, and to wrap back to what I was saying, is by making yourself vulnerable and telling those parts of your story that you feel like, I don't know, you can change your entire life. So telling your story can change other people's life. If it can change your life, the story you tell yourself, then obviously you can change other people's life. So I had to rewrite my own story on how I looked at money. I was like, wait, the more money I get, the more people that I can help. And the more people I can help, the more money that I can get, so I can help more people. And that just clicked for me. And that's when I started doing all this stuff. I slowly was de-blocking it, because I wasn't able to tell that when I was talking about stories. I felt weird whenever we talk about something and someone's like, how much is that? What was it cost there? And I always felt like an uncomfortableness. And when you feel that uncomfortableness, when someone asks you a question, that's something you need to work on. And it's something I know this is a lesson for an entire another thing. But those little triggers that we have, those triggers that we have, that shows us where we need to work. If you're very uncomfortable talking about something, that's something you need to work on. If I ask you in a private setting, I understand the general public's different, but if you can't talk about it in a one-on-one setting, we're talking. I'm like, hey, Izza, let's talk. So tell me about your relationship with your parents. And if you're like, wow, and you can't really talk about it, that's something where you need to start diving in. That's a part of your story that you haven't got over. And if you're not comfortable talking about it straightforward, that means that with that story about you, you're somehow diverting it and avoiding it and putting a cap on it. When in reality, that's a vital flow of who you are. So by hiding parts of your story, you're literally hiding parts of you. You're literally not showing your true self. And it's hard, because it's hard to be our true self, because we're like, I gotta learn more stuff. It's like, no, 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 you know enough right now. You need to unlearn some of this stuff to get closer to your true self, who you really are, so you can really tell your story, what really bothers you. And something you guys all can start is, after this, when you're like, I don't know how to start telling my story, and you don't know where to even begin. This is huge. You might want to write this one down, guys. I'll give you a second if you don't have a pen and paper. It'd be really good. Look around at the world that you see. Look around at the things you see. Look at the things that you're drawn to. What are you actually drawn to? What is it that attracts you? What's wrong with it? What's the problem there with it? And talk about it. Whatever it is that you see, whatever's wrong with it. And start talking about that and implementing your story in that. because then people will understand why they understand why you care so much. If I never mentioned things of my past before, then you wouldn't understand why I do what I do now. You'll like, because when people ask me, they're like, "How are you able to make this YouTube? How do you make videos all the time? Whatever video, I think last video I did was 715. How can you make 715 videos? Like what? The first hundreds of videos I made without even making any money. Like how?" And it's like, well, when I was growing up, I didn't have someone to look up to. Like I didn't have that person who was real, who actually cared about me that in the way that I liked it. And I received love from my family, but the attention, the do this, like this is the right way to go. I never had the example because the people that I was around, they were perfect because the way they told their story, they never made mistakes. It was me who made mistakes. So I was like, I needed that role model. And then I was like, I didn't have it growing up. So then I'm like, you know what? Someone should make a movie about my life one day, and that's gonna help a lot of people. That's what I said. That's a story I told myself. But then I'm like, I got so many stories, so many things. I need more. One movie's not gonna be enough. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'll take control of this whole entire situation, and I'm gonna start telling my story every day. And that's when I moved into social media. That's when I moved into making videos because I'm like, I want to become the person who I didn't have. Like, I'm the person that I needed growing up. Like, I'm the person. Like, I made myself into the person that I saw when I was like 14, when I was 16, when I was 21, when I was 23. I made this person to who I am today. But those stories made me who I am right now. So when I refer to stories in my past, it's to give you more context of my future. But as you guys understand now, that's what makes us connect. Because you guys might not be in a situation where you can just travel the world. Everyone's not in Bali now, and I understand that. So to make you guys come, I have to bring you into my world. And I have to let you know that I understand where you guys are because I was there. And this is how I felt when I was there. Like I felt trapped. I felt like I didn't know how to get, I knew that there was more. So I have to speak to your feelings. And that's done by stories, letting you know that, oh, and for me, it's more difficult to do because I didn't really work a 9 to 5. Like I remember I had a summer job one time working at Target. I had a summer job working at Target, and I remember like, and this is a story again where you'll feel a connection to me. I remember working at Target. I worked from 2 p.m. to 11 in summers when I was in college. I worked there one summer, and I remember like it was cool. It was the first time I ever made money, but I had no life. I had no life. Like playing basketball was hard because I'd have to play in the mornings, but it was hard to play in the mornings. So I'd get home around midnight. I'd have to wake up at 8 and play until maybe 11 or 12, then go straight into work. I didn't see the sun really. Like I remember that. I remember those times, that story. So when I tell a story like that, especially if I was talking in the blog, by telling that story of where I was, it makes you realize, wow, if he was there doing that, then I can do it too. And I feel like you need to understand that when most people tell their story, people are telling their stories like they tell their stories on social media. Everything's fine. Everything's beautiful. They literally filter their story to make it attractive for everyone. And instantly when you see that, once you become aware, you're like, that person's life, what isn't, it may be amazing, but there's parts that they're not sharing. There's something missing from that. They have 1,000 photos of them all smiling. That can't be true. Something's wrong. They feel sad sometimes. And for me now, I realize the more that people are smiling and laughing, those are the people you need to check on because they're suppressing a lot of things and they're not saying a lot of things of how they feel. And if you keep telling yourself that story, you just become immune to that. All the pain you went through, the hard things you went through, you kind of forget about that. You forget about it, and you forget that that's what makes you so strong. Like Solomon, you're strong because of what you've been through. So sharing your story of what you've been through powers and enables other people. It empowers, and enables other people to do the same. It makes them realize that, wow, this guy did it. I can do it too. And it allows them to understand that they can share the vulnerable parts of their story. which will help other people that you can't reach. I can't reach everyone. I can't reach that kid that's in Chicago who doesn't know about me, but you can. You're there. I can't reach that person. I can't reach the person who works on that corner street in Poland, I remember, and she's at the bakery every day. I can't go and smile and do that every day. But people know my story and know who I am and know that when I go somewhere, oh, Luke would smile, Luke would go in here and do this, so I'm going to do it too. And now all of a sudden, something in my story, what you know, that can inspire you to do the same. And now you became a beacon of light as well. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. As you tell your story, I want you to look at telling your story. It's like a match. And the right people take that fire from your story. Like, that's awesome. And they don't need you. They don't need, like, I need more of your story so I can light other people and make them tell their story. No, once I light your match, you got the power. You have the power. So now you can light someone else's, and they can light someone else's, and you can keep on doing it. It's not like a candle burning at both ends, like I can't do it anymore. It's a gift that keeps on giving to other people, giving to other people, giving to other people. And one thing that I've been learning now, I've been doing so much work, so much, I've been doing, it's called shadow alchemy. I've been doing so much like de-blocking conditioning that I was raised on so much lately. And it's, for me, it's opened up so many opportunities because it's allowed me to tell my story better. It's allowed me to tell things that I wouldn't tell before because I was worried. The only reason you don't tell your story is because you're scared. I don't want to say scared because people get so defensive with scared, but you're fearful of something. You're fearful of the result of telling your truth. And if it's one thing that I've realized, you might even feel the difference in my posts, on my Instagram, in the blogs. I tell my truth now. I used to try to cater my story to appeal to everyone, to the general public. But when you talk to everyone, you talk to nobody. If I just sit here and just, yeah, guys, you should do this, you should do that, you feel like you're sitting in school and no one really likes that. Like, who are you speaking to? Like, I've hired someone to help me work on my brand and making sure the mission's clear, and I really want to help people and really getting it down, getting my story, what I want to do down, is brought so much clarity because it's opened up. You just are like, well, I don't know what to do. I can do everything. Yeah, but focus, what are we going to focus on? Helping people, telling your story, like these go intertwined. So understand the power that you guys have in your story. Most people wear masks. So when you think that their story is better than yours, please don't believe that. Please do not believe that. Thinking people's story are better than yours or they had it, no. There's parts of their story they don't tell. And there's parts of their story they forgot. They're multimillionaires now and they want to forget where they've come from. They want to forget it because they feel like they're over it. But I'm telling you, and I can promise you guys, it's those struggles, those vulnerable points in your story, that's what connects you to people. You know, I heard what you call it? I woke up on I'm trying to read I'm reading your I'm reading your post right here. I'll get to your comment into a second, in 1 second. But there's a story I heard in one of these things, in one of these courses that I'm taking, and it was about Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey, he's from Cleveland, where I'm from. And it was a story about him, how, if I had to sum it up in a minute, before he became famous and popular, if you guys don't know, Steve Harvey's a comedian. He has his own TV show. He hosts the Oscars. He's the guy who made a mistake on Miss Universe. He said the wrong name. This is him. And it was him telling his story about how he didn't have money. He left his job. Moved out of his house after his parents told him no. He wanted to be a comedian. He had no money, nothing. He slept in his car for 3 years. He would shower in hotel lobbies in the toilet. And he said that one day he went into a hotel to shower. This is year 3. And he went to put soap on himself in the bathroom. And someone came in the bathroom, so he ran into the stall. And when he ran into the stall, he waited for the person to go. But then someone else came in. And basically what happened is there was a convention in town. So the bathroom was packed. So we remember just staying in that stall for hours. I think he said an hour and a half. The soap had just like crusted onto his arm. And that was his breaking point. And he said, I need to get something done. Like, something has to change right now. And I know a lot of you guys feel that there's this point where you're like, I gotta do something. I don't care what it costs me. I need to do something to get right. And it was his breaking point. And the end of that story was that he ended up getting a call telling him to come somewhere on a Friday for a gig. He had no money, but he's gonna try to do it. But he knew he was going to, he didn't know how. And the day before that gig, he got offered to do something in his city for a little bit of money, which gave him money to go to that big gig, which turned out to be the Apollo in New York, which is where he got recognized. It's a famous theater, and that's what put him on the map. And now he's hundreds of millions of dollars, hosts all these things. But that part of his story automatically connects us because we're like, I've never been that bad before. I have it lucky. So what's my excuse? So I hope that resonates with you guys. And by the way, guys, ask your questions. I'm gonna read all that at the end. I got like a few more minutes of just some things I want to get out to you guys. And then we'll go through. I'll answer your questions. I have a special time just to do that for you guys, so you guys know. So feel free to drop it, and we'll get through it. I'll get to it for sure in a little bit. Okay, so now moving from you understand the power of story, how to tell your story, how to implement your story into every little thing that you do. And you don't have to drag it out long by me just saying, oh my gosh, I love having coffee. Like whenever I'm back in the States, me and my grandma have coffee every morning and talk for like 45 minutes. And this is a true story. And it's just 2 or 3 sentences that I implement, and you feel like you know me better, you feel more connected. It makes you think like, oh wow, I need to do that more maybe with my grandmother. Or I remember doing that with my grandmother. Or, it brings out memories and feelings. So with your story, let's talk about like content real quick. I love content. And let's talk about content. Oh, I made this coffee really strong. Ah. Let's talk about the platforms that you use for content and telling your story. Basically, almost every piece of content you look at, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, everyone's telling a story. It may be funny, it may be sad. There's something happening there. There's something funny happening. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's how you know it's a story. A movie is a story. A song is a story. It's all stories. So how do you tell your story? Beginning, middle, and end. So when you make your content, not only telling your story, but telling stories in general, beginning, middle, and end. That's what gives context to things. Now I could post this picture right here of just my coffee, boom, and you look at that on my social media and you're like, oh, it's a cup of coffee. Nice. And you just scroll past it, don't think about it again. Now, the second I come in there and I'm like, oh, I have my coffee, ready to start this live session, hope to see you guys there. It sounds stupid, but I've added a story. I've added a story to it. So I want you guys to understand that. It's so important to add a story to almost everything that you do. It's so powerful, everyone. Content, the content that you do, the content that you make is all story. All the content, every content that you make, the content is story, everything. So work on implementing that. Today, when you guys are making posts, today, when you're sharing things, put your story into there. Practice telling a story with everything you do. And you'll become better at telling, and it comes natural after a while. Like what I'm posting right now, is there a beginning? Is there a middle? Is there an end? Posting a selfie of me doesn't really mean anything. Beginning, middle, and end. That's story. So not only your story, but telling stories of what you do, all that really matters, okay? And the platforms, they make it easy. Instagram makes it easy. It's jumping on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Hey, I'm here. I just wanted to say hello. Hope you guys are doing great, blah, blah. Tell a story, practice it. Beginning, middle, and end. Is what you're saying have a beginning, middle? I'll give you guys the big secret of telling a story. Beginning, a middle, an end, and then ask yourself, why do they care? Beginning, middle, end, why do they care? If you can't find a reason why they care, redo that story. Redo that story. Put it in a way that they can care. Like, what's the meaning behind that story you're telling? Are you trying to say something? Beginning, middle, and end, and why do they care? And use that as like a framing point for telling your story. Like if I tell you guys, I don't know, when my first international flight was 29 hours. That was the first time I ever flew out of America. My flight was 29 hours. Like, what's the story there? Why do you care about that? Why do you guys care about that? What does that mean? What's the context? There's nothing. Yeah, there's a beginning. My longest flight, 29 hours, middle, and I flew to Australia. And I didn't even say that in the beginning. So that's a beginning, middle, end, but why do you care? You don't. Why would you care? What's that mean to you? That's the world we get in. That's like a post. Boom, 29, boom, me. What does it mean? What's the context? What does that mean to me? It doesn't mean nothing. So I don't even feel that. There's no emotion, there's no story. Now, if I just reframe that, same exact thing. I know some of you guys out there might be scared to fly and travel and everything and don't like long flights. I totally understand. Like when I was growing up, my first flight was like 29 hours from Cleveland to Chicago to LA to Sydney and then to Melbourne, where I would finally live at. Like that was tough, but I was able to do it. It made me stronger, and it made me look at these little flights, 3 or 4 hours, that they're not so bad. That's a story. Beginning, middle, end. Why do you care? Because your 3 or 4 hour flight you have is not so bad. So you see how I framed it and made it even more so you care? And I can go even deeper because you pull stories out based on what someone says. So when you're posting on platforms, you tell a story around something. Like I try to tell a story around a coconut every day, but I try to put my stories together so that they're all mini stories on my Instagram. And then all of them equal a bigger story, which is my day. And I structure the vlogs the same way. And always asking yourself, why do they care? Why do they care about this? There's sometimes I don't post something because I'm like, that's stupid. Why do they care? Doesn't help the story. It makes me feel good telling it because it makes me seem like I'm the hero of it. Okay, so I hope that kind of makes some clarity. And be relevant to what's happening. Like what's happening to you that day. Talk about that, bring back that story. Like, why are you bothered sitting in traffic? Because I remember when I was working my 9 to 5 and I sat in traffic for hours every day. I just couldn't wait to be out of it. So now traffic kind of bothers me. That's a story. That's implementing your story. That's something that people can relate to, you know? And that personal thing, that personal story, it connects me to you by doing that. Okay? Now, we're almost wrapping up here. Now, I like telling the good, but I think it's time that I tell you the bad now. Or it's not bad, but it's just like, this is what's gonna happen. And I'm telling you guys right now. So when it does happen, you're not worried about it, okay? So these are the symptoms. These are the repercussions. These are the cause and effect of what happens when you start to tell your true story and really tell your story. People are gonna leave. Some people won't stay. They don't want to hear the vulnerable part because they can't be vulnerable. So they're going to leave. But the good thing is the right people will stay. The right people will listen. And you get to a point where you're like, that's actually who I want to talk to. I don't really care about for me, I have millions of views on my YouTube channel. I got videos with hundreds of thousands of people. But what matters to me are those hundreds or few thousand people who show up all the time and they're there for Luke. They're there for me and what I do and they care. Those are the people that matter. You guys who are here in this live stream, you guys matter to me. Everyone matters, but it's just like you are the one, you all are the reason that I wake up at 3:50 today to do this live stream. Like, because it really matters to me. And I'm so intent on helping the people who want to help themselves. You guys could be doing anything right now. You chose to jump on an hour live stream with me. And that for me is important. You know, that means something to me. And that's a symptom. There's people who don't like, oh no, that's too much. Why is he talking about this? I had a person when I was on live on Instagram the other day, they wrote me and they were just like, oh my gosh, Luke, I'm so glad you're on live right now because I forgot to unfollow you. And I felt nothing. I was just like, oh my gosh, it's finally going right. I'm finally speaking my truth more, not speaking to the general public. I'm speaking my truth. And when you speak your truth, you tell your story. Some people are going to go, and that's what you want. You want people to go because you want people there who want to be there. And when you're speaking your truth and trying to better people's lives, people don't want to do it. You don't want them there because they're going to fog your judgment of Who should I talk to? What like, are they here for me? Are they here? Like, you want that to happen, and it's gonna happen. And I know if you have a small following, it hurts. I remember having like 150, 161 subscribers. I remember that. And I remember when I lost a subscriber, I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, I posted like, and then you're like, no, you just be you. The right people come. You understand? The right people will come. And it's just because you're shedding layers of yourself. You're a balloon. Your story, who you are, you're a hot air balloon that's going up. And as you start to tell more, you're going higher. And some people aren't built for that high altitude. And you know, the sad part is some of it is sometimes your family. They just don't understand. And that's okay. Because if you're really trying to make big impact, have strong legacy behind, you have to do that. You have to talk about those things. And as you become better at telling your story and being more open with other people, you start to become a stronger person. You start to be able to talk to other people, have difficult conversations. In one of my courses that I'm in today, Lorna, this is my mentor, and she said that the most successful people are the ones who can have the most difficult conversations. Because we avoid it, because it's an energy that we have. If we're used to avoiding telling the difficult parts of our story, energy is energy is energy is energy. So if you're having problems telling your story, the difficult parts, you kind of cover over it. Other parts in your life where you're having difficult times, you kind of cover over that too. Conversations with loved ones or bosses or friends, you kind of cover over that as well, because energy is all the same. The energy doesn't care. Oh, you don't want to tell a part of your story? Oh, we're just going to keep it here. No, it's energy. It's the energy that you're using. So that's going to go everywhere. So this is something that's very, 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 very important to remember. Okay. We're almost done here. How much time do we have left? 13 minutes. Okay. And I just wrote a couple of just bullet points here. Oh, I'm sorry. Telling your story symptoms as well. Once you start to tell your story, you're going to feel a lot of blocks that you have come out. Like a lot of blocks that you have, you're going to run into them because there's going to be parts of your story you don't want to tell, even to people close to you. And those are powerful. And you know you haven't dealt with it if you can't talk about it. You understand? If you can't talk about it, you're not comfortable talking about it to someone close to you, a best friend, whatever, you're not over it. And you need to get over it. You have to go back in. You have to go into the gates of hell to go into that part and fix that story. And most of the time, it's not even what happened to you, but it's the story you're telling yourself about what happened to you in the past. And because you can't bring it to life and tell that to other people, that means that you haven't got over it. You haven't dealt with it. You know, and I highly recommend that you guys do that, because there's liberation, there's freedom in that. Because the reason you don't tell it is because of fear of rejection, fear that people won't understand, fear that people will leave. And that's going to happen. People will reject you. People will leave. And that's what you want, because you don't want the people there who don't want to be there. Trust me, you don't. It's a rule that I had in my real life, and I was having problems implementing that in my online life. Was understanding that I want everyone there. For me, I want everyone. I want to reach everyone. And it's not a reality. No one will reach everyone. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. But what you can do is you can reach people who will reach the people who you can't reach. But you only get that by being your true self and being vulnerable. And the freedom that you feel with it, you feel free. There's a free feeling that you'll feel. That's how you know you're getting close, because you freely can talk about this stuff. And you can freely talk. And you can freely receive, because now you can talk about the vulnerable stuff, you can receive the vulnerable stuff, and you can deal with it. I was great at receiving it, but I was having problems sharing it. That was a block for me. I had to literally go in there and figure out what it was from. And it stemmed from me just really worrying about what other people think and trying to appeal to the general public. And that's the quickest way to fail. It's not the quickest way, it's one of them. Okay? And the thing is, because you're losing people, and the people who staying are so close, the bonds that you'll have with the people who stay are so strong. They'll be so strong, the bonds you'll have. And this is something that is so important, because you'll feel an embrace and a loving feeling. You know, it's like, would you rather be on stage talking to hundreds of thousands of people who then just walk away and leave? because the show's over, they don't really care about you, they're just there to get information and go? Or you really care about talking to those 5 people, and when you're done talking to those 5 people, you guys hug, you embrace, you shed tears. That's meaningful. That's what our souls crave as humans. We crave that real connection. This is what everything talks about, the true connection. All right? And let's see. Yes, so the things that you don't address, the things you're worried to talk about, that's where you need to start working, diving into that. Why can't you talk about that? You're not over it. All right? Okay. I think that's kind of pretty much everything that I had written down. I kind of just wrote down a bunch of small little bullet points. Yeah, the last thing that I did have on here, and it was how I wanted to finish up what I was saying, and it's really one sentence, and I don't even think I need to explain it so much, and it's the last sentence I have in my notes. It says, your power is in your story. So to hide your story is to hide your power. One more time, your power is in your story, and to hide your story is to hide your power. Thank you so much. No, but it's that simple. If I had to sum the entire thing up, your power is in your story, and if you hide your story, you hide your power. Okay? Now, let me get to these comments really quick. And think about any questions you guys have to answer. We have like 8 minutes left. 8 minutes left. But if we only need 3, then we'll just use 3 more minutes. Let me see. Sorry, your entire family was hyping. You woke up on the floor one day and so exhausted. We're about a sick doctor. The clinic was broken. Oh, wow. Now I'm going to university to study with medicine. That's my short story. Yo, that is amazing, Izza. That's a powerful story. That is a powerful story. That's powerful. And this is the story that people need. This is the story that changed people's lives. This is the people that we can relate. I didn't want to be a vet, but I can relate to this story 100%. And I don't know if you have an Instagram, but you should make an Instagram post, and this should be your caption. And at the end of it, you can literally have this exact thing. You can literally start this story. One day I've been so tired. You start your post there, and you end your post. That's my short story I wanted to share. Thank you guys all so much. That's a post. That's a post that touches people's hearts. That's a post that touches people's hearts. And because you can share that, because you're able to just share that right now, that's powerful. You're stepping into your power with that story. Because it sounds like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing. I don't want people to know that. No, when you feel that, that's when they should know. If you were going to tell that story to people and you started to be like nervous, like I shouldn't say that. No, that's the sign you should. I love it. I love this story. Are there any more questions? Any questions? Oh my gosh, I made my coffee really strong. So in my villa, I didn't want to cut the lights on. Oh my gosh. Whew. In my villa, I didn't want to cut the lights on early in the morning. And yeah, that was a mistake. So I just was pouring the coffee into the mug and I didn't see how much I poured into. Oh gosh, that gave me a kick. I plan on going to sleep after this, but I guess I'm gonna stay awake. But yeah, there's no more questions. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Like, it means so much to me. And I realize I prefer more, even if nobody was here, even if one person was here, it means more to me to do this with one person than it does to make a video for 100,000 people. And it means more to me to be on a live stream with one person who cares, who's there to learn, who wants to help himself, who's going to go out there and help other people, than to talk to 100,000 people who I don't really know, who might not do anything. And that matters. And when you start to tell your story, the real people will come out and they'll feel liberated by what you do. A lot of times you want to post something. Think about it. Last thing I'll give you guys. Think about it. You want to buy an outfit. You want to buy a pair of shoes. And whoever you look up to, artist, model, actor, actress, athlete, you'll look and see if they have it. I remember I wanted a Louis Vuitton belt when I grew up, and I would just see like LeBron James Louis Vuitton belt. I was like, oh, he has one. I definitely need one. Like, this is my mindset. And we look up to people like that. You look to see if they did it as well. Like, did they do that? We all look up to people to do stuff like that. So we always are looking for that little bit of validation. You understand? And I think that a lot of times, because they enable you to realize that I want that as well. So by telling your story, people will look at you like, oh, if Izza said that thing about the bet and all that, like, I kind of had the same thing. And then Izza, who you might feel alone, like, wow, no one actually even knows, like, no one knows that. Like, I don't feel if I should tell that. You just motivated someone. And you might not hear about it for years later when they be like, yo, Izzy, I read that story, that post that you did one time. It really inspired me. And you have no idea who you're inspiring. Last little quick story, because we have just a few more minutes. I was in Poland maybe 10 months ago, 8 months ago. I went to a city called Bielsko-Biała in the south of Poland, very small city. And I was walking around filming, and I was starving. I went down this little side street, found this little small pierogi place. Cute lady inside, didn't speak a word of English, like the places that I love, hole-in-the-wall restaurant, which is what I love. Went in there, ordered pierogi, got my food, and sat down and ate and filmed it. And I left. I filmed the restaurant. I said, hey, this is a cool place. You guys should come check it out when you come to Bielsko-Biała. And I left. That video got, I don't know, maybe a couple 100,000 views or something like this. I'm not exactly sure at the moment. And about a month ago, I got a message. I got a message from the owner. I got a message from the owner of the restaurant, that pierogi restaurant. And he wrote me, and I could feel in his email, he was crying in his email. And he wrote me and he said, oh my God, Luke, I just wanted to say, you've saved my life. You've saved my business. We were going to close. We were having money problems. No one was coming. After you made your vlog, we've been packed full all the time. People have come nonstop. People have talked about you coming there. This is how he knew. And it took him 10 months to tell me that. And I tell you that story to let you know that when you do something, you tell your story, and you don't see anything happening, you have no idea what is actually happening. And the thing is, once you get good at it, you really just start telling your story all the time. You're just planting seeds. Then a year later, he could have brought me 10 years from now, and I could have thought, oh, it was nothing, actually. I didn't even think about it. Or nothing happened when I went there. I filmed that video and that was it. You don't know that. Maybe it's happened to other people. My story is motivating and they just never said anything. Maybe it just got them to do one day. But the thing is to tell your story, tell your truth. Instead of telling your story, think about it as telling your truth to people. Saying your truth, speaking your truth. Okay? So on that note, I did want to do an hour, and then I want to just do quick announcements for anyone interested. You guys want to learn more about how I do the things that I do. I feel like I say that speech all the time. It's getting kind of boring to me. But yeah, all the stuff I'm telling you, the things that I teach, the things that I share, I don't put it all in the vlog, because it wouldn't be a vlog anymore. It would be more of just sitting down and just talking all the time, which is what I'm starting to implement more in the vlog, is telling more stories. But I have my mastermind. I believe, Solomon, you're in the mastermind. You were actually the first person who joined the mastermind. Be on lookout. Videos coming up this month. But the mastermind explains how I do what I do. One of the things in the mastermind will definitely help you guys out, because it goes more deep than this. We talk about so much stuff. And actually, this is a perfect month for you guys who are not in the mastermind to think about joining it, because this month, it's all about blocks. It's about the things that are blocking you from telling your story. Literally, I didn't even think about that. So just right now, the blocks, the worrying about what other people think, the feeling that rejection. We don't want to be rejected from the tribe. I'm sorry, Solomon, I'm spoiling it for you, but I'll just read 2 of the videos. So one of the things that I have is attachment. This is what we're going to talk about. This is what holds so many people back from telling your story. You're too attached to I literally could just go through these videos. I could be in the mastermind, and that would have made this live stream 10 hours. But we're going to talk about it in videos. Attachment. We're really attached to the outcome that's going to happen when we tell our story. We tell our story, and instead of telling our story and just that's out there for you guys, we're attached. Did it help anyone? Did it impact anyone? Just like my story of that pierogi place. If I would have been attached, like nothing came of that. That's horrible. I'm not telling that story again. That came out 10 months later that I learned about that. So we're diving into attachment. There's about 12 here. I want to only make 5 videos this month in the mastermind, but it's going to end up being a lot. One of the things on here is boring. We're going to talk about it because it's so important, because we think our story is boring. Because it happened to us. We were there. We saw the whole thing. We experienced it. It was boring, whatever. Like for me, what's the point of sharing it? It's just normal. But for someone else, it will be life-changing. You know? And telling our story, one of the other things that I have on here is other people did it and got the result faster. So we feel like, well, they told their story and they had that video blow up and now they're millionaires. And this is wrong a lot of times when we look at this, how fast someone gets to where they are. That's a huge block because we're worried like, wow, if I do it, it won't happen that fast for me. You have no idea. And the one thing, why the video number 3 is going to be the attachment, because we're so attached to the outcome and we take that energy into the very beginning and people feel it. And it brings a bad energy. It brings an energy you have of validation. You can't just freely talk. It'd be like if I was waiting for you guys to validate me, then I wouldn't, if no one was here, I wouldn't be able to do the live stream. If no one commented, I'd feel a little bit thrown off, like, wow, no one's commenting. No one's actually, maybe they're not hearing what I say. Maybe this isn't good. So that's blocking me. So now because I'm thinking that's clogging the energetic space that I need to tell what I need to say. So these are all the things that we go into the mastermind. It'll be so beneficial. Solomon, I believe, Rafa, I don't know if you all are in it or not. I'm sorry if you guys are already in it. But this is what we're talking about. And the mastermind, I created it because it's teaching you guys how I do what I do. And the first month was all about content. So teaching you how to tell your story, why to tell your story. And at the same time, all the live streams that I do like this get dropped into the mastermind. So Solomon, if you missed the beginning, you're here, you're the first one here. Man, you're the first at everything, bro, man. I'm super proud of you, my friend. And this will be dropped into the section of the mastermind with the live streams. So all the webinars that I do always get dropped there, because I want to get to a point where I'm doing a weekly webinar or maybe a bi-weekly webinar. This is the goal for you guys. So if you guys aren't signed up to my email list, sign up to my email list. And anytime I have new content come out there, I will drop it. I will drop all the information in that broadcast email that will come to you. You know, and that's how I want to do it, because I love working with people who want to help other people. And you guys, I'm so proud of you guys for being here. I'm so thankful for you guys being here. For me, I haven't really felt this feeling in a long time since I started the mastermind, and I made it where people had to pay to sign up, which is a big thing for me because I thought everything should be free because I didn't really value myself and my time and what I can offer. That's a whole nother talk, which we talked about in the mastermind last month though. And you know, it's great to work with people like you all here who like are interested in bettering themselves. So it's like a lot of people don't care. They just want entertainment, which is fine. But when you get down to that core group of people, whether it's one person, that fulfillment you feel of knowing you're working with someone who wants to help themselves and there's someone that wants to help other people, it's powerful. It's super powerful. Now that's my 5 minutes that I had for announcements. Join the email list. I'm going to have a program coming out. Well, I guess you guys get the inside scoop. I'm having a program coming out. It's called Side Hustle Magic. It's called Side Hustle Magic. And it's going to be a live stream like this, but it's going to be 3 days of live streams. So we're going to do hour and a half, hour and a half. And it's going to teach you guys all about turning that passion that you have and giving you the framework to turn that into not only loads of content, how to distribute that content, but show you guys how to turn it and make the next day will be about how to make the money doing it, which is what I've been able to do, and monetize it and set things up. One of the mistakes I made when I started making content was I didn't have a way to make money. I got paid for AdSense and all that, but I didn't have a way. If someone wanted to give me $100, there was no way. There was nothing even set up that someone could even give it to me, which is one of the huge mistakes I made. It's not about money, but it is nice to have something there if someone wanted to do it. So we're gonna talk all about that. And the third day, we're gonna do a huge Q&A. And in this package, this is the last thing, take 30 more seconds, guys. The last part of that is there'll be 2 offers for this 3-day workshop. The first offer will be the regular offer. I have no idea what it's going to be. Maybe I'm liking even numbers. We'll say $55. Let's say that. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a VIP package. And with the VIP package, we're going to work. You have access to me during those 3 days. So I'm dedicating those 3 days just to the workshop, just to the people who are there. So as I finish a live stream, you send me a message and I'm getting back to everyone. So I don't care if 100 people write me. Those 3 days are dedicated energetically to responding to all those people who are part of that VIP package. So just want to let you guys know that'll be up soon. I'm still writing that. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much value. You guys know I love providing value. If this is free that I'm giving you right now, imagine what this course will be on. So I'm super psyched for it. And that's kind of it, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Feel free, reach out to me on Instagram, reach out to me, sending me a message. Love getting back to you guys. If you guys send me an email, if you guys want this, so basically I'm going to put this on Charms University, this live stream, but if people are gonna have to pay, I don't know. I'm liking like the same numbers. So this would be like $11. But you all who are here live, send me an email. I will send this to you for free. So you guys get a copy of this. Solomon, you don't need to because it's in the mastermind. It'll be dropped into the live session of the mastermind. But all of you, everyone else, you guys get this just for showing up. So if you did want a copy of it, if you are interested in the notes, like the notes are so sloppy from this, but I have the notes here that I'll send you as well. Just send me an email. You guys know it's under lukelifecharms@gmail.com. Send me an email, I'll get it to you. And yes, thank you so much. Send me an email. I will get back to you. I'll probably send it to you a little bit later in the day. I'm probably gonna just relax right now. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you guys a great day, morning, evening, afternoon. And yes, I'll speak to you guys later. Thank you guys so much. Next webinar will be soon. It's gonna be awesome too. They're all awesome, guys. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Send me an email. I'll look out for those today and get back to you with the link to this. I'll probably link you to Charms University with a coupon code so you can download it from there for free. Okay? Thank you guys. Have a great day. I can't thank you enough. Izza, Rafa, Solomon, have a great day. Thank you guys so much for being here.